Do you pay attention to the questions that you ask yourself during your entrepreneur journey? Mike Michalowicz talks about this in his book, The Pumpkin Plan. There's power in the questions that you ask yourself, and you get to decide whether you're asking those good questions or the bad questions. So you get to choose if you're going to use your power for good or your power for bad. I'm Raejean Roberts with Social Media Snapshots. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the questions, all the questions. We're going to talk about all the questions that you ask yourself. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the questions that we surround ourselves with. So first, let's talk about those bad questions. Why? Because it's so easy to fall into the trap of bad questions. Now, how often do you ask yourself, why can't I do this? Or some version of that, right? Why is this going wrong? What's wrong with me? Why is this not working? All those types of questions, they all fall in that same bad category. So our brains, they're like geared to answer those questions. Any question, give us a question, and our brain is there to answer it. So when we ask those bad questions, why can't I do this? Our brain's going to be like, hey, well, let me figure out the answer to that question. And normally it's going to answer with some kind of, you suck, right? You're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not rich enough, you're not educated enough, you're not whatever enough. That's where your brain's going to go when you ask, why can't I do this? So I know I've had those days where I'm feeling down and I catch myself asking those pity party questions, right? So it's easy from there just to spiral down, well, why can't I do this? Oh, because you suck. Why do I suck? Well, let me tell you all the reasons why you aren't able to do the thing that you want to do. And that's the problem with those bad questions, is they are not only unproductive, but they shake our confidence and they just send us down, down, down. They send us down that spiral that can really paralyze our growth. When I worked at my corporate job, I'd spend my whole commute driving, the whole drive to work, a half hour, asking myself really bad questions. I'd ask myself questions like, I wonder what kind of angry calls I'm going to get today, or am I going to have to sacrifice my weekend again for mandatory overtime? Why can't I get a better job? So by the time I pulled into the parking garage, I could barely get out of my car and go face the day because it was just so much pounding of those negative questions and the answers that my brain came up to go with all of those negative questions. So before we go on to the next type of questions, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So now we're going to talk about the good questions. So starting with the questions that we ask ourselves, instead of asking, why isn't this working? Let's try, what could we be doing differently? Or what could I try that would make this work? Now our brain kicks in again because it always wants to answer those questions, right? Doesn't matter about the question. It just wants to be answering any question. So when we ask the question of what's a better way to do something, well, our brain has, it has totally different answers. So when I got to the point of where I'd get to work early but clock in late because I had such a hard time getting out of my car, I saw the toll that those bad questions were taking on me. So I tried that new tactic. I tried a new tactic. So I was asking questions that would give me positive answers. So even if I didn't start with going straight from a bad question to a good question, or a really productive question, I went from a bad question to one that would at least change my mindset. So I would ask myself about what went good on the calls that I had the day before. How was I able to help people? How was I able to make a positive impact on their life, on the customers that I spoke to? So, I asked how I helped what did I do the day before that helped out my coworkers? How was I able to share my knowledge and help them grow in their positions? And just by changing those questions, I started looking at the good things that were happening in my day-to-day life. Um, and then as I would like walk from my car into the office, I would play a silly game and I'd just be asking myself, okay, what do I like? What do I see that I like? You know, and it could be something as simple as like, ooh, nice shoes, or, you know, just something I noticed in the lobby or something I noticed about people. And I was training myself to look for the good things, the things that made me happy. And from there, I was able to work up to the better questions. You know, if I didn't like my job, how do I leave it? Not why can't I get a better job, but how do I get a better job? How do I pursue my passion and be my own boss? Are there transition steps I can make from working in a corporate job to being my own boss? Is there, you know, and these are the questions that really move me forward to where I am now. So now when I hit a rough patch, the first question I ask myself is, do you want to get a job? And the answer is always, no, I don't want to get a job. So that one's easy. So if I don't want to go and work for somebody else again, then that snaps me back to asking better questions. You know, what else can I try to get to a better place? What are other resources that I can use to find solutions? And who do I know that might have who might have the answers for whatever roadblock or whatever challenge I'm facing? So leave me a comment below. Let me know what's a good question you've asked yourself today. Um, so finally, let's talk about the company you keep, right? The questions that we surround ourselves with. When I was in my corporate job, one of the big reasons it was so easy to fall into that tailspin of pity party questions was the company culture. So many people that I worked with, they were unhappy with their jobs also, and they routinely just asked bad questions. They asked, you know, why did management care about people actually doing their jobs right? What kind of crappy break schedule were they going to get today? Did you hear that Joe Blow got fired today? And it was really hard to change my mindset and to get to start asking better questions when I was surrounded for so many hours of the day with people asking bad questions between my coworkers and even the people I dealt with on the phone. So it was just a bombardment of all these bad questions, all these questions that had negative answers. So I realized I had to prepare myself for that, and really, you know, I couldn't, until I could leave the corporate job, you know, I had to look for ways to buffer myself from a lot of those negative questions. I mean, even today, I rarely watch the news. I really limit how much news I watch because it's just so much negativity. I can't, I realize that it's not good for me. It's not good for my psyche, and it doesn't, you know, it can get me riled up and it can get me upset and it can get me all the negative things, but it doesn't empower me. It goes back to that paralyzing me for all the things, with all the things I can't do. I can't fix, I can't change, I can't affect. So it's not something that is productive. Those bad questions, they can infiltrate Facebook groups. They can, I mean, they're all over social media. And I spend a lot of my time in Facebook groups. A lot of my posts, I'd say 90% of the posts that I see on social media are business related because that's where I spend my time and the algorithm knows it. But even there, it's easy, you know, there are places that it still infiltrates. I know there's one Facebook group that I was part of, and it's a Facebook group of business owners. It's a Facebook group of people trying to improve how they sell their products. And this one specific Facebook group has so much negativity around people selling them things, and it just really struck me with, if you are spending so much of your energy asking questions like, can you believe that person actually tried to upsell me on something? Or, you know, can you believe how salesy that person was? And they were really asking negative questions about selling. And it was just so ironic to me that, here they are in this group to get it better at selling their products, but they were asking so many negative questions about other people selling them products. And, it was, so I was like, okay, well, that's not a really productive place for me to spend my time because, it's not, they're not asking the questions. They're not looking at, well, is what this person is doing effective? What are better ways? What are more effective ways to sell their product than what I experienced with this person selling me their product? But just the kind of the culture of that Facebook group was really negative and really disempowering, the opposite of what I want to spend my time with. Um, so, the people that you surround yourself with have a huge influence on your mindset and the questions that you're asking. I know there's some kind of quote about you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I just read an article that was saying it's actually not true. It's more like you are a product of not only the people that you spend time with, but the people that they spend time with. And it was just like, it goes so much deeper than just the 5 people that you're around or all of the people that you're around, but it's all the people that you're around and the people they're around all can influence back to you. So it is so important about what you surround yourself with, making sure that you are surround yourself with people who are encouraging and empowering as much as you can, especially as business owners. There's so many people who want to, tell us all the scary statistics and all the, it's so much easier just to go get a job and it's so much easier to do this and that. And, it can really, it's like a bombardment of those negative questions. They're projecting their fears or their negative questions onto us. And, we really need to make sure we're surrounding ourselves, not that we need to like stick our heads in the sand and go la-di-da, but we can be asking ourselves, why are these companies failing? What can I do differently? I mean, there's still the questions that we can ask that are empowering and encouraging and motivating and helping us to achieve our goals instead of paralyzing us. So one of the best places to surround yourself, especially when you're building a business, you're building a community around your business, is in the Business Boss Book Club. That is one of my favorite mastermind environment. We have a book club as part of Social Media Snapshots. It happens, so it's live streamed into the Facebook group, so everybody in the Facebook group can participate, but there is a level up to where you can be in the Zoom room and there's workshops, and that's really where you get that mastermind, supportive, encouraging and empowering atmosphere. Yes, you can get it in the Facebook group, but it goes so much deeper when you are in the Business Boss level of the book club, so that you can, have that face-to-face. You can read the body language, hear the tone of voice. I mean, you can hear the tone of voice if you're watching, but we can't hear the tone of voice of the people commenting in the Facebook group. But then you're actually like brainstorming for the workshops and you're working together, and it's really that mastermind atmosphere to where you're bouncing ideas off, and sometimes you sit down and you try to do something and you get distracted. You don't have that when you have dedicated time for that. But more importantly is that you're not doing it alone, and you can go, well, does this make sense? Does this fit? Is this really what we're talking about? And you can get that immediate feedback from the other people in the book club. So that is one of my favorite places. It's definitely the easiest access to that kind of mastermind atmosphere. So we are reading amazing books in the book club, and we like the pumpkin plan that sparked this whole video of what are those questions that you're asking, but we're also discussing it and having those workshops so that you can get so much deeper. So I will add the link to our Business Boss Book Club in the description. Love to have you join us, and be sure to tune in for the next video. Bye.